Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to the Soul Frequency and Flow podcast. I'm your host, Jen Haddix. I'm a spiritual business coach, sound healer, yoga teacher, and guide, and I'm super passionate about helping humans live their most authentic life. This podcast is your space for heart-centered conversations about healing, embodiment, stepping into your power, and creating a life and business that align with your unique mission and gifts. You have come here to share your magic with the world, and I want to help you do exactly that. Each episode will explore transformational topics. I'll share powerful tools and we'll dive deep into what it means to be a human on earth at this time who is here to create impact and live an amazing and abundant life. So grab your favorite drink, get nice and cozy, and let's vibe. I'm so excited that you're here. Hello, and welcome back to the Soul Frequency and Flow podcast. I'm so excited that you're here, and today I'm hopping on to talk about how your business, what you are creating, is not just about you. In fact, it is about the entire collective, and it is, no matter what you are doing, huge mission-minded work and completely revolutionary. So the first thing that comes to mind before I really get into the revolutionary part of this is when I read Tasha Silver's book, It's Not Your Money. She talks about not calling it my anything, but specifically for this context, not calling it my business, but rather the business. And I still struggle with this. I'm like, oh, my business, blah, blah, blah. But really what you're doing is for you and the betterment of your life and your vibration and your abundance and your impact, but also gives permission to everybody around you to do something different. We have all been conditioned to be in a system that follows the rules, that gets the 9 to 5, that does everything that we're told to from early conditioning based on sitcoms we watched as kids and things we saw in the news and things we've read in magazines and what's embedded into our movies. It's everywhere. And we're told to want a certain kind of life, a certain amount of security. And I'm here to tell you that security ain't real. That's not a real thing. There is no security because there's nothing to be secure from. This entire existence is a wild jumble of manifestation and vibration and the universe playing out scenarios to understand itself. And the things that we feel we need to be safe from are also created by the same structures that hold us. The things that we feel we need to be safe from are also created by the structures that hold us. We are told to be afraid, and then we are sold the solution. And the solution is to stay small, do what you're told, and don't jump out of the box. When you break free from this conditioning and you create a life for yourself that you were not told to create, and you do things that are unorthodox, outside of the box, different than what you were told, like I said, you're giving other people permission to do it too. And guess what? The more of us that do that, the more people are like, oh, I can do that. Like, I hope that when you see the business, I almost said my business again, when you see the business that I have been building and working on as just a regular person who has been living life just like everybody else, and it's successful, and I'm helping people, and I'm excited, and I'm happy about it. I hope that that empowers you to go, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. I'm currently in a program with somebody who is chapters ahead of me on this journey, and he's sharing all of his raw and real things that have been going on. And I see him being incredibly human, but building this amazing life that is completely out of the conditioning that we were sold. And I look at him and I go, if he can do it, I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And if you can do it, the people that are watching you can do it. And the more of us doing this, the more of us breaking free from this matrix, from this bullshit that we've been taught is reality, the more of that happens, the more revolutionary we are and the more change that we can create. This topic is on my heart today because I've been thinking a lot about all of the incredibly painful things that are going on in the world right now. And I cannot speak about them eloquently or intelligently. I don't have enough information to go into the depths of war or politics, but I have been watching and seeing things happen. And I was thinking about how helpless and powerless we feel in the face of global human suffering. And we often ask ourselves, what can I do? And the reason this came about is because somebody that I follow was talking about how upset they were that influencers were not talking about it, how upset they were that they were not using their voices to speak out about this topic. And I have often been of the opinion that one of the best things we can do is to keep ourselves high vibration in the vibration of love to counteract the darkness of the powers that be that are creating the structures that we are trying to break free from. But at the same time, this poked a button in me that said, are you spiritual bypassing? Are you being a love and light girly who isn't paying attention? Are you moving from a place of privilege? And that's not something that I like to use a lot because I do feel like there is a lot of policing online, which is actually why so many of us are afraid to show up, because we talk about things in a way that might be messy or might be uninformed because there's so much information, or might be from our own perspective, which is not in line with other people's perspectives, which is how it should be. We should all be able to come to the table with different things. And we're speaking about things in that way, and the internet police come after you and tell you that you did it wrong. And so then we get quiet. And so many of us are being quiet for various different reasons. I'm not going to pretend to know what they are. I know what my own are. And this got me thinking about how can we move from a place of love and light and awareness and still be able to speak on the things that we feel called to speak on, and still be able to feel authentic and unafraid of the police coming after us on every single post that we do. And I think the reframe is to look at what we're doing as part of the revolution. Because when we are able to, like I said before, show other people that they can do things outside of the proposed structure, the boxes, the prison that we're basically in, show others that they can do it so that we get more people doing it. More of us are making more money, which means that we can do more. We can donate. We can travel to the places and help if we want to. We can create specific movements and get people organized if we want to. But what I'm getting at is that I feel like there's so much pressure to use your voice in a certain way, especially during times like these, which, sidebar, I do believe that we reincarnated at this time with all of this technology available to us, with the 1 second news cycle, with the access to see all of human suffering on purpose, probably because we have a greater capacity, or we as humanity are building a greater capacity to hold all of humanity. But the act of being ourselves radically and showing up in a way that we are not told to is in and of itself a revolutionary act. Can we always do more? Yes. However, I think it's important to recognize that every single one of us is on a different journey with a different capacity to hold human suffering. Some of us have been through different things. We have different nervous system things going on. And I get really frustrated seeing people yelling at other people for not saying the right things or not using their platform the way that they should be using it. And as I'm talking about this, I'm kind of realizing this. I had a very loose plan to talk today, so I don't really have outlines or notes. I'm realizing that this might be one of the big, huge contributing factors to why so many of us water down our content and don't show up in the way that we want to, because you've got people coming after you all the time saying, oh, no, you shouldn't say that, or oh, you shouldn't look like that, or oh, you are doing it wrong, or oh, it's supposed to be like this, or oh, don't you care about this? And we all came with different missions, with different souls to care about different things. We can't all care about everything all the time. And that leads to emotional shutdown and failure to launch and paralysis, which honestly, after seeing that post the other day and kind of bringing this awareness into my field about the atrocities that I was witnessing online, the things that I was researching that I had not been researching, I started to feel paralyzed. I'm like, oh, well, now I feel like I can't talk about anything. And if I do, I'm being too sunshiny, I'm being too happy, I'm being too whatever. And I realized that I can, in fact, be a loving witness to the things that are going on. I can speak about them if I choose to in ways that make sense to me, that are aligned with my heart, that work with my voice and feel like they're coming through authentically and not because I feel like I'm supposed to. And I can also start to view my business, the business, as a revolutionary act against the machine, against the structure, because that really is what we are doing here. All of us that feel called to do something other than what we were told to do, whether you were raised by doctors who told you that you should be a doctor and you really want to be a painter, or whatever the case may be. If you're on OnlyFans, whatever you're doing something outside of what you were told to do, and that is creating a vibration of new earth. That rebellion is creating our next paradigm, the paradigm that we're moving into, that is already happening at so many different levels, and our consciousness is meeting it in every single moment that we have experiences like this. We are asleep, we are in chains, we are under a spell, and everything that we're moving through. And I'm not going to pretend like I fully understand all of the astrological events that are happening or any of the transits or any of that kind of stuff. I vaguely know about some things, but I have plenty of people that I follow that are way more versed in those topics. But Age of Aquarius, all the things that are happening right now, things are breaking down. And it's not for a bad reason, but it is painful. It is painful because we have only known something to be one way for so long. And honestly, after the many plant medicine journeys that I've done, I've seen that there is so much more than what we're told. And it's funny because the last big one that I did, I remember seeing it. I could see the entire manifestive creation. I could see the primordial space where things are created. I could actually watch my thoughts turn into things when I was in that plant medicine space. I was terrified of it. I was terrified of the vastness of possibility that was presented to me because I have been raised and taught that there is only so much possibility, and I was actually scared of how much possibility there was. I have no idea why these terrible things happen in the world. I have no idea why we still continue to go through war and death and pain and suffering. And honestly, a lot of the times I avert my gaze because I feel it. I don't know how many of you, there's probably a lot of empaths who are in my space. I feel the pain of it. I look at it and it literally engulfs me, and then I can't get out of it, and then I'm no good for anybody. So, is there a balance between being able to witness the things that are going on and still maintain your love, your light, your mission, and your work? We are here at a deeply transformative time for humanity, for the collective, and you are here with medicine that the collective needs. And every day that you stay afraid or small to share the thing that's in your heart, the thing that you really want to say, but you're like, oh, I can't say that. My family will think this of me, or so and so will say something. Every day that you're not doing that. And I'm saying this to myself because I'm currently going through a season of how can I be even more open and more authentic and say the things that I'm terrified to say. Every day that you don't say those things is another day that the revolution within you, the revolution that you have come here to facilitate through your work and through your medicine, doesn't happen. And every day that you don't do that is another day that somebody who is meant to be witnessing you in your full power doesn't get to see you, and thus also stays in chains. And every day that they don't see you, they're not in their power. So the person that's watching them still sees them in chains, and all of us just stay chained and in this mental prison until we continue to work our muscles to build the courage to show up authentically and get out. I am sure there are people out there that would hear this and criticize what I am talking about and how I am talking about revolution and how I am pointing to business as a revolutionary act and how that's not what we should be doing. I saw the guy that I actually was looking at his post. He said, now is not the time for workshops. Now is not the time for circles. Now is the time to raise your voice and do whatever. And I disagree. I think it's okay. I think it's good. I think it's powerful to use your voice if you feel empowered to use your voice. And if that is what you feel called to do, and that's how you feel like you can make a difference, that is wonderful. But so many of us, especially in the US, especially in westernized society where we are pretty numb, we're pretty blocked off from suffering in a real way. We see it, but we're desensitized, so we're super numb. We can't even handle that. And so those of us that are creating workshops and programs and spaces for people to gather and do their healing work are actually helping, because those people are still in different levels of waking up, that they need that community. They need whatever offer you have to help them get to whatever next level they need to get to in order to hold more of humanity. So I just find it so polarizing to tell people, like, now is not the time for this, it's the time for this. Like, I just don't see things that way. Maybe it's because I'm an Aquarius and I feel kind of like an ambiguous person. I don't see anything as black and white. I see everything as moldable and transmutable and just energetic amoebas floating around everywhere. That's how I see things. But I feel like that's incredibly polarizing. And if you're somebody who has been looking at that and seeing those kinds of conversations and thinking, oh God, well, I better not even show up at all because I'm not showing up in the right way and I'm not doing anything to help, so I might as well just be quiet. I would like to reframe that and say that whatever work you have to do, whatever workshop you have to put out there, whatever program, whatever healing modality, whatever thing that you are creating, whatever amazing thing that's coming through your heart that makes no absolute fucking sense, whatever that is, will be a kind of revolution within your own human experience and your own energy, and people are waiting for it. Another way to look at it is, what if your voice, your offer, your program, your whatever activates something within somebody else who is here to do big, loud activism work? Maybe that person needs you to guide them through a process so that they can show up that way. Each and every one of you, each and every one of us is here for something big. Even if you can't see it, even if you're stuck in comparison, even if you're still in a job that you don't like, even if you have no idea how it's going to work out, you came here at this time divinely, specifically for this. And so please remember that. Please remember, even in your hardest moments, even in your self-doubt, even in the ups and downs that are simply part of doing this work, that you are here on purpose. And there are so many people that are waiting for your frequency and waiting for your medicine. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.